Why isn't that person breaking? Why isn't that person falling over and bending over? Why isn't that person paying attention to me the way that I believe that they should be paying attention to me? These are the kinds of questions that people are going to start to ask themselves and wonder about when you are magnetic, silent, and indifferently different. You see, so many people in this life are often convoluted in their own sense of entitlement, and they want to believe that they are these figures of authority. They want to believe that they are figures of power, of truth, of they know the right answers. And yet, for some reason, when you are just calm, cool, and collected and by yourself, you're not necessarily trying to cause a scene, but you're not necessarily letting anybody walk all over you either. All of a sudden, people start to wonder about you. And you often have this proclivity in people to think that because of your distinct qualities, this makes you cold or, in a weird way, very attractive, or perhaps even a bit obtuse, perhaps as well. I've had people, because of my silence, almost project anything they want unto me. It's almost as if my silence and my stoic qualities of being are a mirror for them to peer into for whatever they want to see. And depending on what they see is going to determine how they view about me. And so I've had people oftentimes admire, and then other times really fear and reject and despise me. But I'm not necessarily afraid of the rejection. I'm not necessarily wondering why people reject me anymore. I don't think about those kinds of things. I don't really ponder on the thoughts of other people, like, what does that person think of me? What does that person think of me? I don't really care anymore. It's not necessarily like I'm inclined to believe that this allure that I have in my being is something special. I just know that I'm set apart because I know that God's people are peculiar people, as it talks about in the Bible. And I also know that faith comes by hearing, and by hearing again. And when you operate in this frame of mind and you let truth reshape your approach to life in general, there are going to be a lot of people that do not understand who you are or what you are, why you do the things that you do. And in some sense, this magnetic, silent, and different quality about you is going to, how do I say this, emanate this divergent sense of being, because you are divergent in your ways. Has anybody seen the movie Divergent? That's an interesting movie, and I only saw the first one. I know it's a book as well, but I didn't read the book. I only saw the movie because I didn't hear about the book until after I watched the movie. And I got enough from the movie to understand the moral of the story, which is that some people are going to be born into factions, as they call them, that are not necessarily, at least I think that's what they're called, is factions, not necessarily conducive to only one way of being. Everybody wants to put you in a box. And so all of a sudden, when you can't be put into one box, then, or one part of the society, then they try to kill you, or they try to put you in, they like disappear you like the Chinese would. People that know what I'm talking about know what I'm talking about. But these are the kinds of ways in which the divergence, as they would call them, would be in this literary world. And so the divergence are this set apart people with not necessarily special powers. They just think differently. They just operate differently. They can channel multitudes of different kinds of creativity or of technique to apply to different situations. And the people that are in control in this world, they don't like that, because divergence often have a way of causing rebellion. And it's not necessarily that we want to be rebellious as people that are magnetic, silent, and different. We don't necessarily want to be rebellious. We just have this natural tendency to stand on business. And I personally, I strive to be cordial, and I want to be cordial and as professional as possible when it comes to dealing with people. But a lot of times when you are giving a sense of grace to other people, they don't even know that you're giving that grace to them. And when you start to, okay, you're crossing the line now, buddy, all of a sudden they realize, oh snap, I can't mess with this person. Because again, we're not looking to go out there and cause a rebellion, but because I don't necessarily think that it's good to have a rebellious spirit per se. But I also don't think that having a spirit in which you allow yourself to be walked all over on is going to be productive either. I don't think that there's any kind of form of productivity that can possibly take place when you set yourself in a mode of being in which you have no boundaries. And first, that boundary happens energetically. Okay, and when you change your energetic blueprint, so to speak, which means you are updating thought algorithms in your brain, you are creating new neural pathways in your brain, and you are forming new functions of thought and cognitive ability in your mind, that's when you're going to get tested the most by these people. And that's when the magnetism comes into play in a variety of different ways. You might attract new kinds of people into your life. I know that just me being who I am, I'm a magnet for a variety of different kinds of personalities and spirits, because people that are set apart are naturally going to have this tendency to attract attention, even though they don't necessarily want to. And it's not necessarily that we want to attract attention for attention's sake, but we want to get the truth out there. And sometimes we can feel as though we need to scream the truth on the rooftops because people just aren't listening. It's like, I'm hearing you. Do you hear me? And that's something that happens a lot recently. It's not just recently. When I say recently, I mean in the last 5 years or so as a collective society. And this seems to be happening more and more frequently to a variety of different kinds of people, specifically the people that are striving to do well in this world, that are striving to live a true path of righteousness and to live in accordance to the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High. And a lot of people think that this is something that really irritates me is you need a religion in order to experience God. It's like, really? You really think that? Do you really think that you need religion in order to have faith? Why? Why do you think that? Why is it necessary for you to have this institution for you to know God exists, or to you to have faith that God exists? Why can you not feel that in your heart at any time? Why do you have to go to a temple? Why do you have to go to church? And I'm not saying these are necessarily bad things. It's just that I don't see that there's a lot of provisions that are being provided by religions nowadays. Even though I'm a follower of Christ, I don't go to church. I know that based off of what the Corinthians say, we are the church. And I know that as a true follower of Christ, that who's not perfect, by the way, I'm not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but I strive to live by what I preach. I strive to live what I preach. And I don't necessarily condone behaviors that are, even though I understand them, I don't necessarily think they're going to have a positive impact or outcome on the world by exacerbating certain kinds of religious modes of thought. And a lot of these religious people get very jealous of your magnetism, and they get jealous of your connection to God. I've had religious people that they were literally envious of me growing closer to Christ. They thought they had more authority over me because they've been in the church longer. But that's not the way God's kingdom works. And I'm not even trying to have more authority or anything over anybody, because the only authority that we have is given unto us by God above. But these people that think that, oh, well, I've been in this church longer, so I know God more than you do. No, that's not how it works. In fact, there could be somebody right now who is just coming into Christ and is being born again that might have a deeper connection to God more than myself. And I don't necessarily and I'm not saying that's going to always happen, but it certainly is probable. Well, it's not probable, but it's possible. That's the proper terminology there. It's not impossible, but it's not really probable either. But it is possible. And you have to have enough humility to understand that you don't know everything. Even if you are magnetic, even if you are moving silently and you are different. Like, I've had people tell me that you just are silent, different, and you work hard. Like, because that's at the gym, people tell me that. Because I don't really talk too much. And if I do, it's very brief. I'll usually nod to somebody if I know them as an acquaintance or something like that. But I don't really talk to people unless I absolutely must or it's necessary for me to. And even then, I'm very deliberate with my words. I don't waste my words because I know that my words carry a certain amount of weight and that it's better sometimes to move silently and to make yourself look like you're just a dude going about your business. Because if you have too much people that are watching you and trying to take from you, I mean, you'll get people that are trying to get into your pockets. You'll get people that are trying to get into your soul. You'll have women that are trying to take your soul. I mean, and it's not for any good reason either. I mean, these people are like soul collectors. I mean, I don't know if you guys have ever met soul collectors before, but that's pretty much what they are. They're soul collectors, and they collect souls just to hold them in the palm of their hand and laugh at them. It's like they're holding these marbles of souls. That's kind of the way that I think about it with these narcissists. A lot of the narcissists out here will have these marbles of souls, and they'll think that your soul is just a marble that they can throw around over here or play with over here or juggle over there. It's really despicable, but that's the kind of mentality that a lot of these people have out here. And so we need to move with precision. We need to move with veracity, but also a form of sophistication. I'm very cordial and I'm very respectable and kind until you start to try my patience. And it's like, okay, look, man, you're tiring me out. You're tiring me out, and I've tried to be kind. I've tried to be cordial. You're just not getting the freaking hint. So now I'm going to have to be something that I don't want to be, and I have to be a little bit aggressive. I have to be a bit aggressive now. And because you don't get the picture, and you think that you know more than me, and you clearly don't. Just because I don't really talk too much doesn't mean I don't know anything. It means actually that I know how to be quiet. I know how to listen. I've had one of the first dreams that I had when I first came to Christ was I had a dream with all of these animals, and I was at this lake in Africa or something, just some safari place. And I was with all these animals, and they all looked at me at the same time. And then there's these otters that came out of the lake, and the otters said, "Thank you for listening." And then all the animals around started to like nod their head. And I could tell that these animals were really, they were just honed in on me because they understood that I knew their language. Isn't that interesting how when you know how to listen, this is one of the reasons why people that are set apart, godly people, are not really afraid of animals. And animals actually naturally love these kinds of people, generally speaking. I've yet to meet like a chosen one or a person that is set apart. And when I say the term chosen one, those that have ears to hear will hear, but those that don't, they don't. You'll have to read the Bible more to understand what I'm saying, I suppose, because that's where I got this term from. So, but anyways, being able to listen is a hallmark of intelligence, because there's a difference between being able to regurgitate information and having the intelligence to understand what's actually happening, or to think about new ideas and new ways of being and new ways of operating, because you have to continue to evolve in this life. You have to continue to evolve in these newfound ways apart from just living just to live. Okay? It's great to live. It's great to enjoy the moment. Don't get me wrong. But it's also, it can be futile if you don't have a meaning or a purpose. And that's why we are so magnetic, and that's why we move silently. That's why we are different, is because we have a purpose, or we are striving for that. We are striving to live in that. And we don't need the drama. In fact, most of the people that are your haters out here are just going to try to gather your attention just because they want attention. It's not because they actually have something meaningful to critique you on. Because there's a difference between critiquing somebody and just casually insulting somebody, or full on insulting somebody. So, and the ad hominems as well. But anyways, guys, I hope this message was useful and insightful for you. If you do want to join the Regal Change Academy, we have the paid community as well as the free Discord channel. The free Discord channel has a free meditation guide and a free fitness guide, as well as an ebook. And in the paid community right now, we are going through the Legends of Stoicism class series. That is a limited time available class series in there. And then we also have weekly calls like the Regal Assembly call, the Bible study, and then this week we're actually going to be doing a special call for the dating scene. And so we're going to have a chat about the dating scene and people's experiences, what things are like, and just kind of touch base on how to navigate through the dating terrain in today's day and age. So I want to appreciate everybody that is moving from the YouTube platform over to X, Rumble, and Instagram recently. I do appreciate your guys' extra support, and I really do appreciate all the subscribers, the members, and everybody that's tuning into these videos to the very end. I appreciate your time, and with all that being said, peace be with you all. Until next time.